I believe you are the only person in professional wrestling to have a match that featured John Cena and Vince McMahon on the
On
Indies.
yeah, and yeah, absolutely, I am. So, well, I guess there's two of us, me and Rick Fuller. Um, yeah, it was wild. So, yeah, the setup, and it's on my TikTok too. I got the story on my TikTok at Brian Milonas on TikTok, trying to do that, all that stuff. But yeah, so the John Cena's dad, John Cena Senior, Johnny, the illustrious Johnny Fabulous, co-promoted a show with Chaotic Wrestling, and it was a benefit show. I want to say for like the police association or something for like Newbury, Mass. So John did the show as a favor, and he was the referee of my match, which was the main event. I was the reigning and defending Chaotic Wrestling heavyweight champion, and I was defending the title against Rick Fuller. So John is a super cool guy. We already kind of had familiarity with John because he used to, when he first got on the road, he would come and stop by the Chaotic Training Center where I trained. He would stop there on his off days and train with us. So, he was already like a super chill guy and familiar with us. So he, in the afternoon, sort of lays out like the finish of the match, like very meticulously. I didn't think anything of it at the time though, because like, yeah, he's a WWE champion. He probably just wants things a certain way, But little did I know. So as far as I know, the only people who knew what was about to happen were John, the owner of Chaotic Wrestling at the time, a guy named Jamie Jemikowski, and then John Cena Sr. were the only ones that knew Vince was going to be in the house. So we do the match or whatever. We get to that finishing sequence. I couldn't tell you what the actual finish that John laid out was at this point because so much obviously happened. I probably couldn't told you 5 minutes after the match either. But so we double down or whatever. I'm getting up, and I see somebody get in the ring, and I turn around, and it's friggin' Vince McMahon. Um, like it feels like a fever dream at that point. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell is going on. So I'm just like, you can see it in my face. So the actual footage of it, and that's the only place you could probably really find it. The actual footage of it is on my TikTok. You can see it on my face. Like I don't know what the hell is going on. So Vince is like yelling at Cena's dad because I had knocked Cena out with the belt, and then Vince comes over to me and goes, "Are you the heel or the baby face?" And I go, "I'm the heel." So he grabs my arm and raises it, and then you see my mouth is like on the mat, like I can't even like I'm not even like playing it cool, like yeah I'm this badass. And Vince is my guy, like I'm just in awe of the situation. You can see us talking, and the conversation kind of went along the lines of like, "Hey, what's next?" He said something along the lines of, "I'm gonna slap Cena, take an fu, and I'm getting out of here." And that's what he did. And then Cena like waves me on like and is just going fu, which because I was the finisher at the time, it wasn't the attitude adjuster, it was the fu. And he gives it to me, and I roll out of the ring, and I grab my manager, Cherry Payne, and I grabbed her and I hugged her and I said that was the greatest effing moment of my life. So, which it was up until that point. So
Let's even talk about this because there have been a few moments in New England history. Anthony Green was in one of the only matches with the Bella Twins outside of WWE. And this is
yeah,
also in that vein in a lot of ways. And so, what was that like for you? Because it's a great moment. It's fantastic. Anytime John Cena, is your referee, it's cool on an indie show because
yeah,
just to even have that is super cool. And then to have Vince McMahon and, the guy who basically made sports entertainment a thing, brought WWE to where it is today,
yeah,
despite everything that's going on with Vince and then what happened with him and all the hush money, which nobody really cares about for the most part. No offense to anybody here, but, to even be part of that, because that is a very cool moment. And
yeah,
it's like a wrestling thing. And like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's like a fangirl thing, but you could see the crowd's like, oh my God. Like you could even
yeah,
feel it in the crowd. I saw it on YouTube and I'm like, wait a second.
yeah. People thought it was the picture because I used to just post a picture, and for the longest time, people thought it was fake. People thought it was like I photoshopped the picture for the longest time, because it seems like a totally fake story, right? If this was something that there wasn't video evidence of, nobody would ever believe any of it in a million years. It sounds completely made up. Vince McMahon on an independent wrestling show. He's appeared on, I think he did like a Smoky Mountain show, maybe, or something like that, or appeared on Smoky Mountain TV, and then maybe did something in like the USWA. But other than that, like, Vince has only ever appeared for his company. So you can count on one hand the number of appearances he's had outside of WWE. So it's wild, and I just happened to be the lucky schmuck that was in that spot that night. For me, I mean, for a lot of reasons, like, very cool. Obviously, there's some historical perspective and context to it. For me at the time, though, I'm thinking like, hey, maybe this is the ticket to ticket to getting a job. So I was booked as an extra for TV. Maybe it was like the next week or so. Like, Raw was in Boston, and at the Boston Arena, I don't know if it's like this now, but it used to be like there was one hallway, and it was the only way in and out. And so at the end of the night or whatever, I just sort of positioned myself in this hallway because I know, like, Vince has to come this way, and I have an in to talk to Vince McMahon. I have a reason to conceivably speak to him, which it wasn't the first time I'd spoken to Vince. I've been to TVs before as extra talent where he's like thanked us and stuff like that. So I've definitely had minimal interactions with Vince McMahon prior to that, but nothing of any substance other than the in-ring interaction. And so, sure, he comes walking down the hallway just as I thought, and that after Raw goes off the air, and so I go, Mr. McMahon, and he kind of looks at me like, who the hell is this guy talking to me? And I go, I don't know if you remember me, but I was in the ring with you on the independent show, I think it was a couple weeks later, a couple weeks ago. And I said, it meant a lot to me. Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate it. And he kind of like cocks his head and just goes, oh, well, you're welcome. And then, he just walks off down the hallway. Now, I don't know if he actually did this or if this is how I've just concocted the story in my mind all these years later. But, in my mind, he did the strut away from me as he said, after he said, you're welcome. So, but for me, yeah, I thought it was going to be my ticket. So he walked away and my dreams crumbled right in front of my own.